month on approval of credit. Call 800-803-2696. 800-803-2696. Visit LifeSourceWater.com. LifeSource Water, taste and feel the difference.
Wishing your mother a happy Mother's Day. Because looking at you, you were probably not a picnic. Happy Mother's Day, moms, from KFI.
There was a Secure Fence Act of 2006, and you know who voted for that at the time?
I can guess.
Everybody.
It's the hypocrisy of politicians.
It really is.
It isn't one side or the other, because we saw this when Obama was in office. There were Republicans who refused to go along with anything that guy did because they didn't like him.
Gary and Shannon. Weekdays at 10 a.m. KFI.
There's a lid for every pot. For every single person, there is a person.
Really?
There's only 7 billion of us. You mean you can't pair off with somebody? Or even find a polyamorous thing? Maybe you get 4 or 5 other people in the whole deal?
Max taught us, sometimes there's 2 lids
Gary and Shannon.
to your pot.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. KFI.
Nobody's clean.
Nobody's clean in any of this.
Yeah. Well, if nobody's clean, then nobody's dirty, right?
Like when Syndrome said in The Incredibles, no, if everyone's super, then no one is.
Gary and Shannon.
Exactly.
Right.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KFI.
Usually I have an answer. I always have an answer because I know everything. Because I should be king of the world.
Bill Handel.
Can you imagine?
Mornings from 6 to 10 on KFI.
KFI.
And KOST-HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County. Live everywhere on the iHeart Radio app.
Exchanging prisoners. I'm Brian Bruman from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. Ukraine has swapped some prisoners with Russia. Ukraine's deputy prime minister announced the deal has secured the release of more than 40 Ukrainian civilians and soldiers, including 11 women. She did not say how many Russians were being released in exchange. It's the latest in a series of prisoner swaps that have happened since the Russian invasion began. Officials who manage the Hollywood Bowl say they're reevaluating security procedures following an attack on Dave Chappelle. The LA Philharmonic Association, which also manages the Ford Theater and the Disney Concert Hall, says it has called in outside experts to assess security protocols. They say they'll also add more people to check bags at entrances. Contemporary Services Corporation and its affiliate Apex have been providing security at the Bowl for decades. A White House official says people who are vaccinated and boosted likely have a high degree of protection against severe COVID-19 symptoms. White House Coronavirus Response Coordinator Dr. Ashish Jha says between now and the fall, it's very possible the U.S. will see new variants and subvariants.
Right now, we are doing everything we can to prepare for that, to make sure Americans are protected and ready if that surge were to come.
Jha says vaccines still remain a cornerstone of protecting people, and he says prior infection alone is not enough protection in the long run. Former President Trump has lost the battle to get back on Twitter.
A judge in San Francisco has rejected the former president's lawsuit challenging being permanently banned from Twitter. The judge said in his ruling Friday, Trump failed to show Twitter impeded his First Amendment right to free speech. He also said Trump's challenge of the ban failed in part because free speech rights don't apply to private companies, and Trump didn't show Twitter was working as a state actor. The judge did leave the door open for Trump to take another shot by filing an amended complaint. Trump has his own social network now called Truth and said even if he was allowed to go back on Twitter, he wouldn't. Amy King, KFI News.
And 2 people have died in a small plane crash near the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. The Federal Aviation Administration said a single-engine Vans aircraft went down Friday afternoon. The National Park Service said fog had completely obscured the area. The crash site is closed for investigation. SoCal weather from KFI, low clouds and fog, then sunny by the afternoon, mid-60s to low 70s at the beaches, upper 60s to mid-70s in metro LA and OC, mid-60s to mid-70s with some wind advisories in some of the inland valleys. Some patchy drizzle in the morning in the Inland Empire, then partly cloudy skies, highs in the low to mid-70s. Right now it's 57 degrees in Sherman Oaks, 59 in Culver City, 62 in Brea, and 64 in Irvine. We lead local from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. I'm Brian Berman.
Look out in Longdale, 405 northbound of Inglewood Avenue. We have a car versus the right shoulder wall at that location. Also in Long Beach, crash on the shoulder, 405 southbound at the 710. And a work zone in Pasadena, 134 westbound from Colorado out to Highway 2. You can expect the 2 left lanes shut down until 9 a.m. And there are some delays because of that closure. Irvine crashed by freeway southbound at Alton Parkway clearing. KFI in the Sky helps get you there faster. I'm Will Colschreiber.
If someone asks, where should we celebrate Mother's Day? Tell them you want Sizzler, because their tasty share baskets are just $5.99. Yep, Crowd-pleasing potato skins, shrimp, or calamari share baskets are only $5.99 with purchase of entree or salad bar. Mother's Day at Sizzlers. Done.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard has led to a lot of firsts for me. It paid for me to be the first person in my family to go to school. That education got me to the first day at my dream job, which I can still hold while I serve part-time. That job and the home loan benefits I got from the Army National Guard helped me buy my first house. I also know that I will be one of the first to respond if my community ever needs me.
Sponsored by the California Army National Guard. Aired by the California Broadcasters Association and this station.
Your electric bill keeps going up. The cost of solar has gone way down. It's time to go solar with local veteran-owned Semper Solaris now and get all the benefits. Here's veteran, founder, and owner Kelly Shawhan.
In the military, when you give your word, it's just as your word. Work hard and keep your word, and that's what we do every single day.
I've heard about Semper Solaris and found out that they were veterans, so I knew they were going to do the job right.
Add Tesla Powerwall and be ready for blackouts. We get the job done with esprit de corps and honor. Semper Solaris offers new heating and air conditioning systems with a lifetime warranty and new roofs with a 50-year warranty. We hire vets and give back to the community with our Semper Cares initiative. Go solar American style with Semper Solaris. 0 down, 0 interest, and 0 payments until 2023. Get the federal 26% solar and battery tax credit. Call 877-211-5591 or visit sempersolaris.com. 26% federal tax credit based on eligibility. On approved credit. Consult your tax advisor. Cannot be combined with any other offers. New customers only. Some restrictions apply. Call or see website for details. Expires 5/31/2022. CSLB number 978-152.
The True Crime Podcast. What Happened to Sandy Beale investigates the alarming death of a young woman who dreamed of a career in law enforcement. Journalist Melissa Jeltsin untangles the mystery at the heart of the investigation, revealing a troubling pattern by officials close to the case.
I didn't take any of that crap because I could tell that they were hiding something.
Listen to What Happened to Sandy Beale on the iHeart Radio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, it's Amy King. Warm weather is here, and hopefully you're outside enjoying it. Did you know you can take us with you? Just download the free iHeartRadio app to listen to KFI everywhere, along with thousands of playlists to fit any mood or anything you're doing. Love podcasts? We do too. And now you can talk back to some of your favorite podcasts with the new TalkBack mic. Here's how. Just tap the red TalkBack mic on the player screen while listening to send your voice message. Let your favorite podcast know what you think about this week's episode. And so much more. It's the TalkBack mic on the free iHeartRadio app. Discover music, radio, and podcasts you'll love.
If you get hurt in an accident, choose the law firm with the experience to win. Choose Jacobian Meyers.
Good morning, everyone. This is Kfi Am 640, more stimulating talk. Don't forget that you can catch KFI everywhere at any time on the iHeartRadio app. My name is Oscar Ramirez, and I'm the host of The Daily Dive, a daily news podcast covering some of the top stories making waves in the news. You can catch a new episode of The Daily Dive Monday through Friday on iHeartRadio, and it's ready for you when you wake up. Here on The Daily Dive Weekend Edition, I'll be bringing you some of the best stories I covered during the week. The big story of the week is the draft opinion by the Supreme Court that was leaked on Monday. The draft may still undergo some changes, but everything points to the overturning of Roe v. Wade, and with it, the constitutional right to an abortion. So how did we get here? If overturned, there are 22 states with laws on the books that could outright ban or ban abortions in the very early stages of pregnancy. For more on what to expect, we'll speak to Ian Millhiser, senior correspondent at Vox.
This is about a lot more than abortion. The idea that somehow there is an inherent right, that there is no right of privacy, that there is no right. And remember the debate we had, you don't remember, but we had a debate about Griswold versus Connecticut. There's been a law saying a married couple could not purchase birth control in the privacy of their own bedroom and use it. Well, that got struck down. Griswold was thought to be a bad decision by Bork, and my guess is the guy's on the Supreme Court now. What happens if you have a state change the law saying that children who are LGBTQ can't be in classrooms with other children? Is that legit under the way the decision is written? What are the next things that are going to be attacked? Because this MAGA crowd is really the most extreme political organization that's existed in American history.
So this is a case that originally was about a Mississippi law that bans abortions about 15 weeks into pregnancy. And originally the case was just going to answer, like, is a 15-week ban legal or not? And that's it. But then Justice Ginsburg died. And that gave Republicans a supermajority on the Supreme Court when Amy Coney Barrett was confirmed. And it now looks like there are 5 votes to overrule Roe v. Wade. I will emphasize that Alito's opinion, the leaked opinion, is not final. Votes could change. The opinion itself could change some. But every sign up to this point has been that they are going to do this. They essentially allowed states to ban abortions last winter, so long as states do it in sort of a roundabout way where they use private lawsuits to enforce the law. At oral argument in the Dobbs case, I counted 5 justices who appeared very, very eager to overrule Roe. So if I am a betting man, I'm going to bet that something much like Alito's opinion is going to come out soon, and that will be the end of the constitutional right to an abortion.
How does the process work? Because this is a draft opinion, as you mentioned, it's subject to change. It probably will change by the time we get the final decision. That should be coming sometime in June, we think. But tell me about the process of issuing these draft opinions and the revisions that they go through.
So after a case is heard, the justices meet in conference, and whoever is the senior-most justice in the majority, which appears to be Clarence Thomas in this case, then get to choose who will author the majority opinion, and he appears to have picked Sam Alito. And so Alito drafts the first draft of his majority opinion. That is the document that was leaked to Politico. And then the other justices read the opinion, and they can do one of several things. They could say, I join your opinion in full, you don't have to change it. They could say, I'm going to write a dissent. They can say, I agree with the result, with much of what you have to say, but not all of it. I'm going to write what is current in the judgment. Or they could say, like, hey, I like this opinion, but, like, here's some changes I would like you to make. And essentially what Alito has to do is he has to count the 5. He has to get a total of 5 votes to sign on to whatever the final opinion is. So going into it, it looks like he had 5 votes. It looks like it's him plus Thomas, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Barrett, who all voted to overrule Roe v. Wade. And so he needs to keep all of them. Some of them may request changes, and those could be minor changes. Hey, I don't like how you worded this. They could be significant changes. And at this point, we just have to wait and see what the final opinion.
Now, this has all kind of been a long game. A lot of activists and a lot of these lawsuits that have kind of been brought up over the years haven't necessarily gone after Roe v. Wade specifically, but, they've, as you mentioned, kind of these roundabout ways, they've been asking the court to uphold restrictions that make it very difficult, very expensive for some of the clinics to perform the abortions. And so this is how they've been chipping away. It's been a concern for a long time, but now it seems like we've got to the point where it's going to happen.
The reason why they got more aggressive in this case than they have in the past is because the personnel on the court is different. And ultimately, I think the other thing to understand about this opinion, it makes a legal argument. The dissenters there will no doubt be a dissent, and the dissent will also make a legal argument. But all of the argumentation around this is basically just a game. The reason why Roe looks like it is now going to fall is because there are 6 Republicans on the Supreme Court, and Republicans Republicans don't like Roe v. Wade. When there are only 5 Republicans on the Supreme Court, Chief Justice Roberts is a little more moderate than the others, so he was willing to uphold restrictions on Roe, but, might not have been ready to strike it down altogether. In the alternate universe where Democrats had a majority, then, we wouldn't be talking about this at all. This is solely a matter of personnel.
What did it say in the draft opinion? A lot of the arguments for this say that, it promotes democracy, right? This is going to give the states their own choices now with how they want to regulate abortion. But what did they write in the opinion?
Yeah, so you're right that, Alito leans very hard into a sort of pro-democracy argument that, this should be seen as state legislatures get to decide, not the courts. We're just going to turn it to state legislatures. They can do what they want. So the reason I think that argument, this sort of democracy rhetoric falls flat is because Alito and his fellow Republicans are just extraordinarily hostile to democracy in virtually every other context. Alito wrote 2 opinions that gutted important provisions of the Voting Rights Act. He's joined others that did the same. He wants to strip state Supreme Courts of their ability to strike down gerrymanders, state governors of their ability to potentially to veto gerrymanders. He has blessed, he said the federal courts cannot intervene to stop partisan gerrymanders. So Alito, I mean, if Alito wanted this to be a fair Democratic fight where Democrats and Republicans would campaign for or against abortion and we fight it out that way, I think that, Democrats in a fair fight would probably win. I mean, the polls that I've seen show pretty lopsided support in favor of abortion rights in the United States. But in the world that Alito has created, where he has struck down a lot of voting rights protections, not to make our elections irrelevant, but to make it much easier for Republicans to win, all of a sudden it's less clear, whether Democrats can win the less fair fight that is coming.
And so where do we go from here? Where does the fight go for abortion rights? We've seen a number of protests already break out. It's a very charged issue. We know this for quite some time now. As I mentioned, June is when we should be getting this final opinion, but there's already, I think you mentioned in your writing, 22 states that have laws in the books already that either ban it or are very close to it. They ban it in the very early stage of it. There's these other things called so-called trigger laws that if it were to be overturned, boom, right away the bans start coming. Explain a little bit of that for us.
So if Roe is overruled, by the end of the summer, 18 states will have either complete bans or what I described in the piece as near total bans, meaning they might contain an exception for things like if someone will literally die if they do not get an abortion. But, many of them don't have many exceptions beyond that. And then there are 4 additional states that have a ban which kicks in at 6 weeks, which is before many people know that they are pregnant. So, you can't get an abortion if you don't know that you need an abortion. And so we're looking at 22 states that by the end of the summer will have very, very strict anti-abortion laws. Now, it will matter a lot who controls those state legislatures in the future. And, the most important event, or the most important upcoming event that's going to decide the future of abortion rights is the election. Right now, the state legislatures we have are locked in place until the next election. Congress, the Senate has maybe 48 votes to pass a bill that codifies abortion rights. They would need at least 50, assuming that they have the votes to abolish the filibuster. And so this issue is going to be decided in the election. And if, the election goes well for Democrats, you can conceivably see a lot of these state laws repealed. If Democrats pick up 2 or 3 more seats in the Senate, they could potentially pass a law that says, as a matter of federal law, you have a right to an abortion. The election goes well for Republicans, you're likely to see the opposite result. Right. You're likely to see more states enact laws restricting abortion, and if Republicans gain control of Congress and the White House, you could very easily see a nationwide abortion ban.
You're listening to the Daily Dive Weekend Edition on KFI AM 640 and everywhere in the iHeart Radio app. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation about the leaked Supreme Court draft opinion that could overturn Roe v. Wade.
Californians have worked really hard to beat COVID-19 by doing the things we know work best, like getting vaccinated in Burchett, testing before and after travel, staying home when feeling sick, and wearing a mask when it can protect us and others. Let's continue to do our part to keep each other safer from COVID-19. When we work together, there's nothing we can't overcome. Learn more at covid19.ca.gov. Brought to you by the California Department of Public Health.
1877 cars for kids. KARS cars for kids. 1877 cars for kids. Donate your car today. Donate online at carsforkids.com. It's cars with a K. Pickup is quick and easy. You'll get a vacation voucher and maximum tax deduction. 1877 cars for kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
As the country bounces back from COVID and mask mandates are lifted, your business needs a lift too. Promote your company right here, right now. Radio ads connect with 93% of Americans every week. That's more than Google, more than Facebook, more than TV. In fact, radio reaches 20% more millennials than TV. Want more of the people you want to talk to all in one place? Visit iHeartAdvertising.com and get AM and FM working for you. That's iHeartAdvertising.com.
Can you imagine if
if the first way we did things just became the way we did things forever. Ugh, that's what happened to home selling, and it needs a change. And that's where OpenDoor.com steps in. OpenDoor is a new-fashioned way to sell your home. See, when you go to OpenDoor.com, all you have to do is tell them a little bit about your house. They're going to make you an offer in minutes. How do I know? Because I went through the process, and it took just a few minutes for me to get a real competitive offer on my house. OpenDoor takes a look at your house along with recent sales in your neighborhood, and they come up with a real offer. You'll know how much you're going to get. You can close when you are ready, and you can do everything online. So get your free offer today at opendoor.com/KFI. Offer eligibility varies. OpenDoor is represented by OpenDoor Brokerage Inc., license number 020-61130 in California, and OpenDoor Brokerage LLC in its other markets. So get your free offer today at opendoor.com/KFI.
Oh, let me try it again. This thing is, it's acting up. It's gonna be good. Watch. Oh, never mind. Oh, here we go. No. Stand by.
Gary and Shannon.
I swear next hour is not gonna go like this, I promise.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. KFI.
Not even say the word?
No.
I feel like we just got 9 emails.
Your show sucks. You guys are so pro-vaccine, anti-vaccine, pro-vaccine, anti-vacciners.
Gary and Shannon.
I like this show. I'm having a good time.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KFI.
Yes, I know. I have a calming demeanor. You know when it's your job basically to push people beyond their comfort zones, it's good to make them feel as safe as possible. Like an open heart surgeon for your home. You'll do fine. No worries. We got this.
Home with Dean Sharp, the House Whisperer, this morning at 9 on KFI AM 640.
More stimulating talk.
This is KFI AM 640. I'm Oscar Ramirez, and you're listening to the Daily Dive Weekend Edition. One of the things that I've been seeing a lot, hearing a lot, obviously from pro-abortion activists, they say, you're not banning abortions if Roe v. Wade is overturned. You're going to be banning the access to safe abortions. I know that's a huge concern for a lot of women out there, especially lower-income potential parents, right? They don't want a child, and they get kind of roped into the whole thing. Those are other discussions to be had, too. But on the other side of things, right, there are states, like California is a big one, who's already come out and said they're going to do anything they can to protect access to abortions. I think Governor Gavin Newsom said they want to propose some amendments to change the Constitution to provide that access. There's other, at least 15 other states, as well as D.C., that would keep abortion legal. So that's the other side of the conversation, too.
And I will point out, before Roe v. Wade, even though abortion was illegal in most states, abortions were still really common. I'm old enough to remember when, the big hit movie was Dirty Dancing, which is a movie about someone getting an illegal abortion. That was very, very common in that era. And the difference wasn't that people were necessarily getting less abortions, is that they were getting abortions that were much less safe. Now, one thing that I think will mitigate that is that about half of all abortions now are what are called medication abortion, meaning that, there's no surgery, you just take a pill, and often, the person receiving the abortion will take that pill in the comfort of their own home. So, that is a safer method of getting an abortion. That is an easier method to access. You don't necessarily need a surgeon in order to get a medication abortion. And on top of that, lots of states have laws that try to ban all sorts of drugs, and those laws are not especially effective. You can find heroin in Texas, you can find cocaine in Texas, you can find marijuana in Texas, even though those are technically illegal substances. And so in a world where Texas can ban abortion outright, I'm sure there will be a black market trade in abortion pills, and they will be readily available to people who need them. The question is, just like when you're buying any other unlawful drug, there's no regulators to make sure that the drug is safe.
Right. Well, we'll see what happens. It looks like it's all set to change. The discussion on both sides will be ongoing. You mentioned the next big thing, the midterm elections. There's a lot yet still to discuss on all of this. The leak as well, how that got leaked, the process and the investigation on that. So we'll delve into all of that as it comes. Ian Millhiser, senior correspondent at Vox, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Also in the news right now, UFOs. UFOs continue to be in the news as classified briefings have begun on Capitol Hill. But some lawmakers are frustrated, saying that intelligence agencies are not taking it seriously enough. Lawmakers see these sightings as national security issues and want more analysts and surveillance systems dedicated to finding the origins of these aircrafts instead of just more reports of sightings. For more on what to know about these briefings, we'll speak to Brian Bender, Senior National Correspondent at Politico.
Well, this all stems from new legislation that Congress passed and President Biden signed in December, directing the Pentagon and intelligence agencies to collect more data on these so-called unidentified aerial phenomena, which is the new catchphrase for UFOs, and also to do more investigation to try and figure out where they're coming from. And are they easily explainable? Are they drones? Are they some foreign adversary that's spying on us? Or is it some truly breakthrough technology? And so far, the key members of Congress, leading members who were really pushed the bureaucracy to take this more seriously, expressed some dissatisfaction that they don't think 4 to 5 months later the Pentagon is really answering the mail on this. They're supposed to set up a new office. They're supposed to dedicate more personnel, more resources to this, including, more intelligence collection capabilities, whether it's satellites or radar, etc. And so the briefings themselves are secret, so we don't know exactly what they're being told in terms of new sightings or new intrusions into military or government airspace. But we do know that the progress reports that the Congress has gotten on how they're carrying out the new legislation have not gone over very well so far. And so that was sort of the big takeaway, which is some real frustration that, in the view of some lawmakers, the Pentagon and others are still not taking this seriously enough.
So we're hearing from senators like Kirsten Gillibrand, Marco Rubio. There was another senator who said that they don't even trust the Pentagon. They think they're hiding some information. What are we hearing out of them specifically?
Yeah, well, Senator Gillibrand, Senator Rubio, both on the Intelligence Committee. Gillibrand is also a senior member of the Armed Services Committee. She chairs the Personnel Subcommittee. They've both been very public about this. There are other members that have been less public, but have expressed, a real interest in this subject behind closed doors. The quote you're referring to is actually a congressman in the House, Tim Burchett from Tennessee, who has also become much more of a public advocate here for doing more, investigating more. He represents constituents who work at Oak Ridge National Laboratory in Tennessee, which is, if you look in all the archives of UFO reports of yore, that sort of comes up a lot as a place where there's been lots of kind of odd occurrences that people have reported. Yeah. And so he's taken interest in it. I wouldn't say there's a groundswell in Congress, but I think what we really have seen is a turning point where you have some very influential political leaders who are very publicly saying, we don't know what these things are, or at least some of them, we don't know what they are. Some of them are exhibiting these really high-tech capabilities, and, if nothing else, for national security reasons, we should probably figure out, are they good guys, bad guys?
And that's kind of been how the conversation around UFOs, the UAPs, has really changed recently, right? It's very much less about aliens and things like that, and it's really about this national security issue. If these things are happening, if pilots, trained Navy men, things that we've seen in these videos recently, people that are out there in the field, they're not quote-unquote wackos, let's say, right? They're trained military professionals. If they're observing this stuff, what is it exactly? Is it a technology? Is it another country with these capabilities that we don't have? So really that's where the big focus is on, and trying to get it on this national security side of things.
Right, or is it one of ours? I mean, virtually every source that I've been able to talk to, whether in Congress or inside the government, or someone who used to work in the government that had some purview over this subject, they will all say, we don't think these are ours. In other words, it's not some secret, deep, dark, classified program, where we're testing